Warning, the following first impression is absolutely batshit. Viewers are advised to be prepared for confusion.
What up, senpais? It's Dre here with Yokuso Otaku. Today I'm going to be talking about my first impressions of a game that just came out today on May 5th, 2022, called Eternal Edge Prologue. Now, Eternal Edge isn't exactly a new game. It was originally released in 2020, and now we have Eternal Edge plus Prologue, which is actually just a free demo. So the demo for the game was intended to let you enjoy the beginning of the game, see what you think about it before buying the full game. This will let you play for about 2 to 3 hours of gameplay. You get the intro, the first major dungeon, 3 sub-dungeons, and you have as much exploration of an area that they call the Expanse, which is kind of just like the first little world area. If you're not familiar with the type of game it is an action, adventure, and RPG game, and it is very much an indie title. When I was trying to do research on it, I couldn't really find a ton. I did hear that the base game was originally released in 2020, and then later it was moved into early access, which caused kind of an upset with people. I do believe that the full version is planned on rolling out very soon, but I don't have an exact ETA on that just at this time. That said, if you guys take interest in the game after you check this video out, you are more than welcome to just download the free demo, which is this prologue, and make up your mind yourself. But I got some stuff to say about it, so let's jump into the craziness. First things first, I have to break down the story and also have a little chat with everyone about it. The main character's name is Cross and is initially described in the backstory as an Eternal. However, what exactly an Eternal is or does isn't explained with any semblance of detail. Back in the day, he was a mentor to a noble who I'm presuming had to be powerful in some way, because it said that the noble betrayed Cross, and with that betrayal came an immense change in the world, which made everyone go from being all peaceful to being in a bad place, also not exactly explained. Cross, obviously upset by all this, was comforted by his wife Evelyn, who is then described as being seen by Cross sailing away, never to be seen again.
No explanation.
Years pass, I guess, and one day Cross leaves to seek counsel with a group of Eternals who Cross asks to return his power. I guess he lost his mysterious eternal power along the way. I'm starting a hashtag for this game.
Hashtag no explanation.
The Eternals were all like, nah, we're not going to give you your powers back, but instead we'll give you the chance to redeem yourself.
Hashtag no explanation.
Cross leaves them and travels the world for a few more years to find his wife. One day, sailors at a port tell him stories of a beautiful lady who lay resting and never aging.
Hashtag no explanation.
The people love her and guard her. Go. And this is all in some other kingdom that I guess in all Cross's years of traveling he's never been to. So naturally, after hearing that, he goes there. The kingdom of Bior. And yeah, it's ruled by the super duper bad guy, the Rat King. Wait, no. The Skeleton King. Your first time controlling your character, you actually just straight up fight the Skeleton King and his cronies. After the fight, you wake up in a church.
Hashtag no explanation.
Where you see your wife sleeping, and I guess not aging, so it's time to rescue her. And with that, you start the game. I thought the intro story was a good way to start off my thoughts on this game, because the flaws in the story really foretells what experience with the rest of the game is going to be like. Like the story, the rest of the game seems to be somewhat unfinished, a bit unpolished, and at times really doesn't make a lot of sense. Not to be a total jerk though, the game had a level of merit to it, and underneath its disturbingly rocky exterior, some players may find a somewhat alluring game. Once you set out from the church at the beginning, you just randomly run into this guy mysteriously who just pops up out of thin air.
Hashtag no explanation.
And he gives you your first quest to do, which is go and explore some ruins. So you head out to the ruins, and there you get into your first boss fight. Now, this is where things kind of mechanically get a little weird. You walk across the countryside quite a bit, and there's just a whole bunch of different crafting materials you can pick up, some really bizarre enemies that look like they're, I don't know, Disney horror, like the weird pumpkin people that jump around. You know, they drop different items and you can kind of level up your character just a tiny little bit on your way up to these ruins. And when you get there, you get to fight the first boss, and he wasn't all that exciting. Mechanically, I think some of the stuff that's a little bit more challenging for some people to do really obviously was challenging to the dev team in this one. The first boss fight, if I had to describe how it plays out, it actually feels more like it belongs in an MMO. So you'll be fighting this giant creature for a period of time, and he swings and does a huge amount of damage to you. After you can mess him up enough, he pops this shield, and you get kind of stuck in it if you're right on top of the enemy, and you can just keep wailing on the enemy. So I think it's actually supposed to like propel you like outside of it, because the longer you're in it, it kind of does slowly push you out. And then a whole bunch of pumpkins are all over the place, which doesn't really mesh well in my brain with the skeleton robot boss thing that you're fighting. And you defeat a certain amount of pumpkins. You don't even have to defeat all of them. The shield will drop again, and you just get back to the fight. It's super easy, not because you can just level your way through it and do a bunch of amazing tactics, but literally, like most of the creatures in the game, the bosses are extra cheesable. For the first boss, I found just pushing up underneath his legs was enough to just really not even get hit by him. And I just wailed away at him, and then the shield would push me out. I'd destroy some pumpkins and go back and fight him again. Your reward at the end is a piece of essence, and they're a pretty major part in the game. So the game has a leveling system built into it, where when you defeat enemies or open chests or do certain things, you'll get experience points, which will level you up. But the essences are special points that you can use at a campsite that allow you to upgrade your character in different ways. The big issue that I found with it was I never noticed what kind of changes the essences were doing for my character. In both my short miniature playthroughs that I did of the game, I really stacked everything into attack, and it really didn't seem like it was doing that much. 99% of the changes seem to come from the actual leveling itself. So if you're playing the game and you're looking for how to level up, because you'll quickly run into stuff way over your level, a really good way of doing that is with these world events that they have, and they spell them out pretty good for you. The world has got all these wild beacons. At first it was kind of jarring, but you'll get used to it really quickly. And if you follow to where the beacons are, you'll get a little prompt at the bottom of the screen that'll tell you what kind of event it is and what level of event it is. And when you get close enough to it, the event will just automatically start. The one that I have pictured here is just a random like wave of enemies that just spawn. You can either live through the amount of time that it's supposed to take you to defeat them and just be a survivor, or you can destroy all of them and finish the quest a little bit earlier than that. When you're done, they generally always give you 3 treasure chests that seem to have random items in it, but you get a bulk of experience, which really helps out a lot. Makes your character a lot more powerful. Graphically, the game is what I would consider to be pretty standard for an indie game. Nothing really jumps out and blows me away. Some stuff's a little rocky. The character models are kind of a little hokey, if I'm being honest. And the textures are mediocre. The effects are kind of mediocre. It's not anything really amazing, but I'm also not like screaming and going all wild about it. It's a pretty ambitious undertaking, I thought, for I think maybe 4 or 5 guys that worked on it from what I see in the credits. What did stand out to me though is the music and the sound effects. Some things fit in really, really well. There's a part in the game that you go to pretty early where you're going to this really high tower where you get your pistol weapon. And as you go up high, you hear, wind whooshing around and stuff like that. I actually thought that it fit in pretty well. It's maybe not the best sound effect, but it works well for it, and it builds that atmosphere. However, pretty much everything else in the game seemed very devoid of any sort of like atmospheric effects and stuff like that. The sense of world around you just didn't seem to really sink in very heavily at all. The music too was also really repetitive. I did see that they have a musician credited. However, some of the music I have heard before in other games, or at least another game. I know there's one in particular that really stuck with me that I have played in a game recently and heard that music. So I think that there's actually a lot of just stock music and possibly even stock sound effects. The quality of the sound effects are fine, but they just, I don't know, they're not very cohesive to me, which I think is just kind of in general of my thoughts of this game. The whole game is just not really completed. One thing I noticed about the game is it really comes off as being very Zelda-y. And I know that there's this whole argument about, oh, this things that look like this are all Breath of the Wild. And it's not exactly that so much. There's some stuff I think that are really obvious callbacks to Zelda. The miniature dungeon that I fought, I think they're considered to be sub-dungeons, has this kind of top-down view of it, and it 100% just screams like the old Zelda style, which I'm not knocking. I really like it. I think it's fine. And I think a lot of indie games are derivative in ways anyway, sometimes really intentionally, and I don't really think that they mean harm by doing that. I think they're paying more homage than anything else. So I know overall I sound like I'm really negative about this game, and in a lot of ways I honestly am a little bit negative about the game. But that being said, I also found myself getting kind of caught up in the nitty-gritty of it. And I ended up spending my first playthrough just meandering around the world a lot, trying to do all the different world events and stuff. They're super repetitive, but I don't know. It's just one of those games where there's just something that just kind of grabs you a little bit, and you want to just keep kind of chugging away at it to see how powerful you can make your character. I didn't hate it at all. I'd like to see the full version of the game, I think. I don't know that I would really get super invested in it unless the full version of the game was a little bit more polished. A lot bit more polished. But I think you guys definitely should consider looking at it. I mean, if you watch the videos of the gameplay and stuff that the devs have on their Steam, then you just might be enticed to try it out. And it's free, so it's not going to hurt you. And if you like the game a lot, you can definitely always get the full version of it. It costs $14.99 in the Steam store as of today. I don't know if that will change. From what I read about the game, they weren't going to change the model for pricing when it is out of early access. So $14.99 might be just the price of it overall. It does carry a very positive review out of the recent reviews on Steam. And overall, it carries a mostly positive of all reviews. The game is made by Righteous Weasel Games and published by Sadok LLC. I hope I said that right. This is a sponsored stream. Again, as always with all sponsored streams, all thoughts are my own, and I think it's probably pretty obvious in this game that they definitely are. I want to thank the devs for letting me try this out and giving me some info to pre-play this before its release, which is today. And hope you guys check it out. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Good luck defeating the Skeleton King. Huge shout out to Mr. Blast of Blast Processing Video Games. He is a Facebook streamer along with wife, Mrs. Blast. You guys should definitely check them out. They're absolutely awesome. I've been following them forever now, and they're just really good people. They play a lot of really great games. Sonic the Hedgehog, Streets of Rage, and many, many more. Jump over to Facebook. We got links in the description for the game and to check out Blast Processing Video Games. If you guys like this content, hit the thumbs up button. If you want to see more anime news, reviews, and video games, subscribe to Yokuso Otaku. Catch you on the next one.